Hello my dolly dearies and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be making a doll of Cherri from Hazbin Hotel. This was part of a collab hosted by Cherri Donuts over on Instagram, and a bunch of really talented artists joined, such as The Gals Dolls, Blueberries 2008, Zombie Board, The Own Surf, Cherri Donuts, the host of this collab, Riku Cos, Bar Cosplay, Raven Rabbits, Gummies Dolls, and Splinky Sporty G Art. This collab was such fun to be a part of, so make sure to go and check out all the other artists. They'll all be tagged in an Instagram post. But without any further ado, let's get on with the video. For our base, we're going to be using the Spectra. We're going to have to cut off all of the hair, but I'll be keeping it because it's in such good condition. One thing about this Spectra is that she doesn't have Spectra hands, she has hands from an old Halloween, but I think the claws work really nicely. Now, time to remove her head. It's much easier to remove it once you've boiled it, which I usually do off screen. But now, take your needle nose pliers and scrape them around the head to remove all of the gunky hair. Time to remove all of the face paint and hair paint. I want to make sure everything is squeaky clean, because we're going to be moulding Spectra's face so it's a Cyclops. I didn't have the Monster High Cyclops face, I don't know what she's called, but I thought it'd be really fun to have a go at sculpting a face. So I wanted to make sure everything was super squeaky clean below where the eye would be. And now that it's all clean and removed, we can get on to the next bit, the sculpting! Make sure to wear gloves while doing this, which I'm actually now remembering to do now, and mix together your epoxy sculpt parts A and B in equal proportions. I slathered it on her face and used some sculpting tools to push out the general shape. I looked at a lot of photos of Cherri to have as a reference, and I wanted mine to be a little more realistic and not just have a flat face which had paint on. I wanted there to be a bit of depth, a bit of shading, a bit more my style. But it's all sculpted. So we're going to be spraying it with white to cover up the faded bits on her legs and the white on her arms. And it's a pretty clean coverage, and the face looks absolutely great. Now onto the colouring. As I found out very quickly, pencils and pastels do not take very well. The pastels took a little bit better than the watercolour pencils, but still really not at all. So I did end up using it for some basic blushing, and I did try to build up colour in the eye. But after a while, I just thought, you know what, it's not worth it, and ended up going in with acrylics. You can see me desperately trying to paint it on with a thicker paintbrush with a bit of water, and it just not sticking. It did stick a bit to her lips, which is one of the bits which didn't have the epoxy on. So maybe the epoxy just stopped it from sticking as well, with a combination of the spray paint? I'm not sure. But this is where I pulled out the acrylics. I mixed a very pastel pink to shade in the eye, like Cherri has, and kept my reference photo off screen so that I could keep on looking at it to make sure it's right. I filled in the cavity I sculpted out. I occasionally went out a bit, but I can touch that up a bit with white paint at the end. And I tried to add a bit of a gradient, adding some more red to the top, so that we can have a bit of nice shading and make it look more realistic. I then took a very, very fine paintbrush and started to paint some teeny tiny details on the lips. I wanted her to have a bit of a smirk, and I realised it maybe would have been better to sculpt the mouth out of epoxy as well. But I tried my best with Spectra's sculpt. Her lips are very downturned and always look very gloomy and serious, so to give her a little parted teeth smile was a bit difficult. face-up turned out perfectly, even if I didn't record it again, and I'm really happy with it. Time to add gloss to the entire eye. I think this is the most gloss I've ever used on a doll because usually the eyes are absolutely tiny. All the shininess looks great. And I had to add a huge fake eyelash and it looks so cool. She looks so glamorous. Time to reattach the head to the body. Oh, she looks so cool. I'm so excited to finish this doll. But now we have to move on to the other details, like the ponytail. I took the small middle bit from a Q-tip, because remember kids to reduce, reuse, recycle, and poked a hole into her head using my knife. Be very careful when doing this, and be careful not to cut yourself, so that the little stick could stick out perfectly. I painted it black so that it would match with her design, and added a bit of glue and stabbed it into her head. Looking very good. Now time for the hair. I brushed out some pale yarn and dyed it pink at the ends so that we could have the nice gradient that Cherri has. It was very difficult to get the bit on her head to stick out, it just didn't want to stay. But I think the gradient works out really nicely. One thing I did notice is Cherri's design with the hair seems to change from frame to frame, shot to shot, so I did her look based on the look which we see in the Addict music video, with the hair being pink and the ponytail having a gradient from the pale cream colour to pink at the ends. But with all the hair styled and cut, it looks so pretty and so lovely and thick. Now it's time for the clothing. I took some old Monster High shoes and built toe caps on them. And I put them onto my mannequin doll, who incidentally is also a Spectra. And I had to cut off some of the small little details on the small pink shoe. One thing I noted about Cherri is she's got one tall boot, which design also changes in the Addict's music video, and one small shoe which may be a sock? I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just assuming it was a shoe. So I took my scissors and cut off all of the little bits which wouldn't be needed, and tried to flatten out the back of the shoe as much as possible, and built up the little gap with some epoxy. I also then took my knife and started trying to skin off all of the details on the taller boot. It didn't turn out as smooth as I like, but with the paint you can't really see it, so it all works out fine. And with that, the shoes are all done. You just had to wait for them to dry. And once they're dry, I painted them the signature pink and added the details to the boot. I ended up changing the details because they were a bit different in the music video. And then I made some simple leggings and cut them all out to have all of the signature holes and tears. Now time for the shirt. I took a tiny rectangle of spandex and cut a little slip in it to go over her arm. It's a really simple pattern with just a rectangle. I then snipped and tore all the ends and added the teeny black strap. Now, time to paint all of the teeny tiny details. Over one chest, Cherri has an X surrounded by some small yellow dots. So I took one of my smallest paintbrushes to try and achieve this look. Now time for the skirt. I simply cut a rectangle, cut it, and added the small little yellow starburst. I wanted to keep the patterns all quite simple. But with that, her clothes are ready to go on. But we have to do one thing first. her tattoos. She has a bunch of small tattoos, which I didn't actually really notice until I decided to make a doll of her. She has some small swells on her leg, she has a sleeve on one arm, and then her other arm is just covered in pink. But I think it looks really cool and I got it quite accurate. Time to get her dressed. I put her shirt on first and had to put it on down the bottom because the shirts don't fit over monster high heads, which is very annoying. I then slid on her leggings and skirt and her shoes. But there was a problem. The shoes started to break at the toes. But once we fixed that, we are done. I'm really happy with how she turned out, and I think I have to make more Hazbin dolls in the future. She was so fun to make. Make sure to go and check out all of the other doll artists, links will be in the description below. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share if you have a friend who you think would enjoy. What characters do you think I should make next? Leave your answers down in the comments, and we'll see what happens. But thank you for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye!